Hello, and welcome to the show. You join me as I close the door to get a wee bit more quiet on the go. Yes, I once again have failed to plan out tonight, but that's fine. You join us today. I'm your host, Girthy Craig, on the Girthcast. We're two videos deep into calling it the Girthcast. So I feel like that's stuck. I was at work again today, so I didn't really have time to come up with any witty alternatives. But I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty happy with leading my life and calling everything I do in it Girth something, Girthcast, Girthy vids. I can't actually think of any other examples. I'm pretty tired. But I thought we'd have at least a wee cheeky stream tonight because I've been enjoying keeping it up. I've not necessarily lost interest in it yet, which I was expecting to happen. I was expecting to happen quite quickly, and it hasn't. Maybe if I get to the point where I do a full 7 days, if I catch up, I think it was I think it was Thursday that we started this, so it'll depend on how I'm feeling tomorrow after work, and then maybe on Friday. Friday seems like a day that I'd be out having fun and probably miss a stream, which I don't think is a bad thing. We might get to a point where we only do an actual stream once a week, do a proper big cast, and then, I might get back to making YouTube videos for the rest of the week. I've got a lot of video ideas for Transformers actually bubbling away. It's funny that, Transformers come off better in a visual medium rather than me audio describing them to you. Having said that, you better buckle yourselves up because I'm going to be talking about a couple toys today. I think the main focus of today's stream will be catching up on my hauls. Not my vacations for you Americans, but my toy hauls. My purchases from the second-hand Transformers market. I mean, it doesn't have to be second-hand, but I can't remember the last one I bought. Well, that's a lie, actually. I bought that Bumblebee, didn't I? I very much can remember the last one I bought in a shop. And it wasn't a bad one, if you caught one of the other streams, we did discuss that little Legion Bumblebee from the Bumblebee film is actually pretty good. Nothing bad to say about it. Not all that much good to say about it, but nothing necessarily that bad. I know that if you're joining us for Transformers chat, you're probably expecting today to be about the new issue of Lost Light. I think it's the second. Is it the second last issue of Lost Light today? And I don't know. I've not been keeping up. I've not been keeping up with Lost Light, unfortunately, lads. My comic shop closed. I think it was like 5 or 6 issues into Lost Light, and then I could have kept up with it online, or I could have found another outlet to get the comics, but I was so broken hearted when my comic shop closed that I just didn't read comics after that for a while. I didn't buy that many second-hand things. I definitely didn't seek them out. Like, I didn't go into the big cities or any of the other cities, or even set up a subscription service with Forbidden Planet. I could have, but I didn't. I was just wrecked. It tore the heart out of this community. It really did. It really did. I'm no bitter about it. I understand the reasons why it closed. It's just, it was rough. It was actually rough. There's a new comic shop in town. One has just recently opened up. I've been in. I've seen the guy. It's not the same. It's just not the same at all. Like, yes, I can purchase comics from him, but that's, the least fun thing that happened in the comic shop while it was open. It was like at the heart of the community. It was a place to go and meet fellow-minded nerds and chat about the events of the day for at least a decade. It was here for like a decade. If I thought about it a lot more, I'd probably be a lot more heartbroken and sad. But I'm just trucking along. Ever since Brexit, like you just have to take it as it comes. You just have to roll with them punches because it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. It's going to be the worst possible timeline, and I've not necessarily accepted that, but I'm expecting it. When things happen, I'm not surprised anymore. Putin will have his way with you. He'll just have his way with you. What was I talking about? Yeah, Transformers. Didn't get a lost light today. Didn't. I will. I'm kind of hoping that my library's comic app thing that they weirdly just have might have Lost Light on it. I don't think it's that recent. I think it's like early IDW stuff that they have, but they weirdly just have Transformers stuff on there. So it'll either be there or I'll catch up to that on the trade. I'll probably just see it via osmosis once the spoiler ban is lifted on the old Twitter, and I'll probably just see it immediately when I log into Instagram tonight. When I log in, I'm an old person. I'll say that when I log into the Instagrams, once I put my password in and enter my username, they'll let me see the Transformers pictures, won't they? But yes, if you're expecting tonight's thing to be about that, it's not. I'm sorry, I brought shame via my words and deeds. But yes. Tonight, we're probably just gonna... I think we're gonna talk about Ravage, because if you've heard all the clicking and clacking, the clicking and clacking has been made by a certain cat that I picked up in a charity shop not long ago. I mean, it was a vague amount of time ago, but it's not too long ago for it not to be a fresh experience. Yeah, I was passing by a charity shop and I happened to notice that they had a wee splodge of Transformers in them, and the ones that they had were Revenge. I think it's Revenge of the Fallen. It could be Dark of the Moon. It could be a re-release. I've not looked into it. Not felt the need. Been quite happy with him as he is, but it's a wee movieverse Ravage. I say wee, he's actually quite sizable. He's like towering over this Legion dude. He's like, I guess he's a deluxe class. I find it quite hard to size Transformers when they're not robots, when they're not bipeds. Once they get into cat territory and Doug territory, it's kind of hard for me to place their size placement in their class. But right now, he is quite a lump in the hand. He feels very, very good to play with. That it does Ravage. Like all this clicking and clacking is just me, like twisting and turning him around and playing with him in hand. He's got a wee ball jointed and pinned tail. It's not all that expressive, but it curls all the way up to his face, and it's got a big it's got a claw, like a wee grabby claw, that one of its little prongs extends into a death knife that comes up to his like face, so you can do like xenomorph tail stabbing action. I'm well into it. He's really fun, and his butt has the Ravage guns, which I feel like is an iconic part of. I'm not a big Ravage fan. You'll find out over the course of this, but I feel like the butt guns are like a key visual of the Ravage silhouette that you really want to get. And I hear that he has another mode. I hear that he's a Transformer, but goodness gracious, I don't know what it is. Like, I just have not looked into it. I gather it's like a spaceship or a submarine. I vaguely remember Ravage from Revenge of the Fallen. I feel like Soundwave poops him out and shoots him down to Earth. A spear tip assault from orbit is pretty hot, and especially when it's a wee cat that like rocks up to a beach. Did he like? Did he get a bit of the Allspark? Yeah, I feel like he went and like got a bit of the Allspark that exists, but if you probably went back and watched the first film, it wouldn't really make sense why they would have it at all, let alone in like a beach-based military base. Yeah, I'm gonna say that. I really like him. I wonder if he is a Dark of the Moon mold, because I mainly base that on his kind of very bleak, very metallic, very black and grey colour scheme. Like he's mostly black and grey with like silver bits to make it, stand out, and then he's got like a pink mono eye. His face is really like weird, like it's catty. Like it definitely is kind of feline. He's got the wee ears, and they're kind of a softer plastic that are part of the mechanic of his transformation. Like there's a button, like a spine on his back that extends and de-extends his head, and the wee ears like flap back and forth while that happens, and his mouth goes. "Rah!" And like he's only got one eye. Like it's a really weird movie design to give Ravage. You think they would have wanted to have him have two wee feline eyes, but I guess they were probably influenced by drones because he is more of a droney kind of character, isn't he? At least that's what they were going for. They never really like talk about Scorponok in that and say if those characters are like dudes. Like, does Scorponok speak at any point? I know that his toy has a robot mode, but that's toys, you know? I kind of want to get a hold of that Scorponok toy. I'm kind of bizarrely nostalgic for it because it was one of the early ones, wasn't it? It was one of the early it was one of the early movieverse toys that came out. Am I just saying that? Am I just saying that because he appeared early in the film? I feel like he was one of the earlier ones, and I have incredible nostalgia for him. Not as much nostalgia as I have for that movieverse Swindle. Do you remember that Swindle guy? Looks nothing like Swindle. He's like a red car with like a mono eye. He's more like Shockwavy if he was a boy racer car. And I have incredible nostalgia for him because that toy was like on a wee leaflet that came with the. It must have been. Was it Xbox 360? It must have been the Xbox 360 movie one game, and it was like either win a swindle or enter a competition or something to get a swindle. And I kind of really like. I never got it. I never got it back in the day. I never found it anywhere. But I bet I could get it for pretty cheap on eBay if I had a look. I might actually do that after this. I think because he's on my list of my big list of Transformers to get, and there's not many movie folk on there. But I can't like I say, I really want to at least own that Scorponok once, and then maybe sell it on. I doubt I'd get any money for it, but and who am I kidding? I would never. Once I have a Transformer, I would never let go of it. I'd keep it in my sweaty palms. But yeah, I was really chuffed to find Movie Ravage. Movie toys, you'd think they'd be everywhere, but you don't see many of the original trilogy. Look at me being a Star Wars fan. You don't see many of the first few Transformers films toys about that often. I think it's because they're so fidgety and finicky and ball joint based that by the time they get to charity shops, at least a decade on, there's not much left of them. Like I have seen a lot of carcasses, like just discarded torsos that were once Transformers, and had I been a better man back in the day, I'd have probably rescued them and added them to my menagerie of forgotten bots. But I didn't have my wits about me back then. I wasn't collecting the dispossessed back then. Not like I am now. Got a wee pile bits and bobs. Yeah, I've always wanted to just Frankenstein a dude together and see how well that goes. But yeah, I was surprised to see Wee Rabbit. He is quite solid, to be fair. I don't know, other than the tail, like I'm surprised he made it 9, 10 years plus in someone's collection, in a kid's collection, I bet, because he is filthy. He is encrusted with something, some kind of. It's kind of like dried toothpaste, I want to say. It's got that consistency and texture to it. I've not cleaned him off yet. Usually I'd wipe him down, but he's just been sitting pretty on my desk and I've not paid him much attention. But yeah, and goodness knows how handling him is doing it. I hope it's not some sort of poisonous material. I don't know. I don't think it's a Putin-based plot or anything, but you can never tell in these Brexity days. But yeah, I was surprised to find him. I was absolutely surprised and shocked to find him. Not as much as surprised and shocked to find the guy that I found with him, though. I got Ravage, and I also got, I believe he's called Skyhammer. I had to cast about on Twitter to find out who he was. big Skyhammer, Dark of the Moon Skyhammer, if you want to look him up on the wiki. He is one of those movie designs. Like, you know when you think about the Transformers movie toys and you think that they're over designed, finicky but banging lads? Absolutely, is Skyhammer one of those? And I was shocked. Like, I don't know if he came with guns originally or like little missile pods or bits and bobs or any kind of accessory. Like, they're long gone. But like the toy itself is entirely there, ball joints and finicky bits and all. And he is fantastic. I'm going to put Ravage down now and fondle Skyhammer for your listening pleasure. I have small concerns with how his feet make him stand, but other than that, he is a fantastic toy. Did not know his name. He's not one of those guys that I could say is like, oh, he's Movieverse Springer or he's Movieverse whatever, because he is just a cracking military grey dull design, dull in a good way. He's very like realistic. He's everything actually I think about Movieverse Transformers being. Like I think about them being like when I think about Movieverse Transformers, I don't necessarily think about the main cast, and I don't necessarily think about them as like known dudes. He's just this kind of off color. Is that a phrase? I feel like that's something Americans would say. He's off color, like he's off the beaten track, kind of. I guess filler character. He's just a toy that they made and gave him a name. I don't know if anyone else. I don't know if he inherited the name Skyhammer from anyone. I don't know if that's the name of the jet or the helicopter, I should say. Maybe that's why he's called that. But to me, the name Skyhammer is something that would turn up in Warhammer 40k. Like Skyhammer, like a Skyhammer assault ship or a Skyhammer. I don't know. I mean, it does seem very military, very a wee bit metal for Transformers. I know that there's properly metal Transformers out there, but Skyhammer, doesn't that like fill your mind with possibilities? As I'm fiddling about with them, these wee legs don't clip together as well as I would like. They kind of keep popping out, but other than that, he is special. And I was saying that I was using the word dull to describe his camo and his deco, as I suppose you would say earlier. And that is something that comes to my mind when I think of Dark of the Moon. Maybe I'm wrong, but were a lot of the Dark of the Moon guys this kind of, not Battleship Grey, but like just a little bit darker? A little bit darker than Battleship Grey, because maybe it's just me thinking that film was a relentlessly grey, dull trudge through grimness. But I feel like a lot of the toys took on a darker kind of palette, a darker kind of tone. I say that, I've got a Dark of the Moon Thundercracker that is like Captain America blue, and like blue, white, and he's got red on him. He's like the most American patriotic samurai Dorito Jetman you've ever seen. But yeah, I say that and that exists. So maybe I'm completely off base here. Again, off base, is that like an American? I've watched too much TV. Like my accent has been mangled forever by the sheer copious amounts of television that I have watched and consumed in my life, especially American-based Transformers. But yeah, not only is he like that guy, that epitome of Dark of the Moon for me, he's also very like what I think of when I think of movie bots, because he's quite gangly. Like if you think back, all those movie bot guys were incredibly gangly to like a fault. Like a lot of movie one is them just gangling over Shia LaBeouf. Like Optimus Prime in those films is a gangly bastard. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I bet like sheer gangle factor contributed to, a lot of people not liking those designs. But as I've aged, I have got quite nostalgic for those designs, and I have got quite fond of them. And he's also got these like I just don't know why modern Transformers don't have this, but this guy from was it 2011? This guy from 2011 has displayed open hands. Like he's got expressive. I mean, he's got 3 fingers on his hand and a thumb, but they're expressive open hands. And for whatever reason, I assume it's costs, but for whatever reason, Transformers just don't have those hands anymore, and they can do them, and it doesn't impede them holding weapons because they still have like the wee thumb to make them hold stuff. And I bet I'm not even tried to hold stuff with him, but I bet he holds them just fine. And these look so much better, like than the Thump Cube, like the clomp hands that dudes currently have. Don't get me wrong, they can look quite good on like dudes. Like it's not a universal rule. It's just these splayed open ones just look a lot better. You can have your cake and eat it because like you can emote with them. You can like stroke his chin or vaguely point in a direction or say get away and like slap someone away and it'll look good. It won't look like he's just continually holding his cup of tea forever. And you can like have them just like slumped down at his side, and it can aid quite a lot in natural posing postures. I don't know why more or not all. I don't know why a lot more Transformers don't have them. I don't know why it would necessarily cost more to have the thumb not connect with the fingers, the fist. Surely it doesn't cost more to have less material. Transformers were better made back in the past. It's a trade-off because, 10 years ago, they had less tricks up their sleeve, they had less engineering, they had, well, I'd say they had less engineering as a whole, Skyhammer, with all of his crazy stuff in him. But, the technology's advanced. I think they've used, I don't know when they started using computers to design them, but, we live in the future, there has been progress. It just doesn't feel like that once you handle like a guy like this because you're like, oh my god, how have we gone from this to the Combiner Wars, Titans Return days, which are fantastic guys, but they just don't feel as designed. And I suppose it's another trade-off because yes, these guys seem more designed, but they're not as accurate. This guy's not accurate to anyone. He's a new guy, and that's another thing. Like, just make new Transformers because we'll buy them up. Like, if a new Transformer's on the shelf and you put fiction behind them, like the new guys, like the youths, will go out and buy them because they'll have either seen a cool robot toy and they'll buy it, or they'll have seen some fiction where a cool robot has done something cool, so they'll want some, plastic of it in their lives. And you might think to yourselves, yeah, but then like the collectors, the G1 crowd will get all angry. We'll still buy it though, because like they did that with Robots in Disguise semi recently. They had that wave that had not Bludgeon and I forget his name, but the patriotic brave Jet Boy, and that patriotic brave Jet Boy was amazing, and I wanted him immediately when I saw him. I was like, I'm not that into like Red. I've only bought a few figures, but I'll go out and search for that patriotic Jet Boy, and I did. I went to the Asda and I picked him up. He was great. So just make new Transformers. Maybe don't make every year be Optimus, Megatron, Starscream, and Grimlock. I like those guys, but I already have toys of them. And at a certain point, because for a while you were getting away with it because you're like, yes, I have a Grimlock, but I don't have a Grimlock that combines, and I don't have a Grimlock that's more G1, or at least enough of a G1 Grimlock to my tastes. But I have that now, and I think most people do, or most people have the equivalent of what I'm saying. So, unless you start making new things that I definitely don't have any of, you might start to lose my interest in certain things, John Hasbro. Just saying. I mean, this is just all said in the heat of the moment. God goodness, I'd probably be embarrassed if I listened to this back, which I won't do because heck, I'm gonna do that. But don't hold that against me, John Hasbro. Please keep making Optimus, Megatron, and Bumblebee, and Starscream, and Grimlock. Maybe make some Armada or Beast Wars dudes. I know you did. I know that's the thing. I know you did do Beast Wars dudes in Generations, but that was weirdly before my time. I was into Transformers. I've never not been into Transformers, but I wasn't buying them at the time. I didn't have a venue to purchase them in my local town, and I was happy enough to to watch Vangelis do his videos and keep up with it that way. And yes, I got the ending, but never to the stage where I would go out and seek them. I saw Vangelis' video today. He put a video up about where are the reviews, and I can't lie, I have noticed that there hasn't been that many reviews on his channel lately, but I've not been like pressuring him for his reviews. I know that like big YouTubers will get that. They'll become famous for a thing, and then if they stop doing the thing, people will pressure them, and they'll be like, "Where are the things? Why aren't you doing the things?" I remember that like someone on Instagram was saying like to me they were like, "Stop posting pictures of superhero toys. Please post more pictures of Transformers." And I was really taken aback because like I wasn't ready for that. I was just I was just a wee guff Instagrammer posting very blurry, not very well shot pictures of Transformers, and someone was being all like, "No, you are this thing." So like I've struggled with that because like there's a lot of times where I go and post something on Instagram and I'm like, this won't play well with my core audience. My demographics will only like pictures of Aquaman, you know. But I still do it because the world needs more Aquaman. Bloody love Aquaman. Don't. Should probably leave talk of that for off topic, or we could just start off topic right now. Yes, let's do that. Transformers talk over. We're on to off topic. So yeah, bloody love Aquaman. Aquaman's a great character. Specifically, Brave and the Bold Aquaman. Comedy. I guess he's more like Marvel's Hercules than he is actual Aquaman. But John DiMaggio, fantastic role, fantastic casting, fantastic execution of the character. I know Aquaman is still a joke, and will forever be a joke in comics and in the general public's perception, mainly because of Family Guy cartoons, and I guess the general conception that Aquaman is crap. And Aquaman is crap. Like, you read an Aquaman comic, and Aquaman's not the best Aquaman in Aquaman. Because, like, the Aqua family has a lot better Aquaman than Arthur Curry. Arthur Curry, of course, great name. Fantastic, fantastic name. It's weird that Aquaman's called Mr. Curry, but all of his pals are better than him. Like, every one of his pals. Because, like, he's like a dude that is like, depending on the continuity, depending on how the writer's feeling, he's either like, Superman strong because he's been under the water and he can survive the pressures. If they want to play that card, they can do that. And yes, he's got control of all the sea life. And yes, if the writer's feeling particularly spicy, they'll bust out the fact that, hey, Cthulhu's a sea creature, isn't he, lads? Hey, he dwells at the bottom of that unspeakable sea. Maybe we'll have Aquaman ride Cthulhu into battle. I mean, I can't remember if that's actually happened in a comic or if it was just that one meme photo, but they've got that in their arsenal. But the thing is, Aquaman has like a supporting cast around him, like all superheroes do, and as far as I can figure, every one of them is better than Aquaman because Mera, who is just the same thing that Aquaman is, but also she can control water. She has the same powers because she's like an Aquaman, an Aqua woman, but she also can do water kinesis type crack. And she was a Red Lantern at one point, and I really enjoyed that. That was a good time. She was really angry because of reasons. It's been so long since I read Brightest Day, but yeah, Mera's a cool guy, and she's better than Aquaman. But my point was going to be that everyone around him's better than him. And like I feel like Aqualad also has telekinesis. Well, there's like an underwater magic school. Like the Atlantis has like magic as well, which I feel like Aquaman doesn't have. I know he has that trident or various tridents that can do different things, and in some continuities and some timelines he's got his like hook harpoon hand, which is metal AF. But I'm not necessarily into that. I like Silver Age I like Silver Age most things, and I've not necessarily read Silver Age Aquaman, but I like standard Aquaman design, and that was the toy that I posted a picture of on Instagram a while back, because I just got like an Aquaman from a charity shop, and I feel like he's an 80s toy, at least his thigh was telling me that. the wee indent on his thigh, the wee mark was telling me that he was from the 80s, which that's cool. I've not looked him up yet. I wonder if he's worth, a fiver or a tenner. But I'll look into that and get back to you. That could be my homework for tomorrow. But yeah, even though Aquaman is like a joke outside of and inside of continuity, and even though everyone around him's better than him, I still like Aquaman. Like, I really enjoyed the Goff Johns run, or Jeff Johns. I will be calling him Goff Johns forever, because that's how I read it. And also, Big Goff Johns, what a lad. Unless he's, killing someone that you love. But Big Goff Johns, what a lad. That New 52, I know the New 52 run, thing wasn't well received and probably was a failed experiment destined for destruction, but that first run that Goff Jones did on the Aquaman book was really, really good. Like, it lent into the memes, it lent into the, do you talk to fish pish, and it lent into, well, it lent into everything, really. It was just unashamedly a really good Aquaman run. I think it had Ivan Reis art. That's always a plus. He's a fantastic. Or they are. I've never really looked into Ivan Reis, whatever Ivan Reis is. It could be a collection of AIs that's just continually putting out solid art that I can't really pin down as anything. It's just really good. It's like really good DC art, because that's a thing. DC has a specific house style, and you can get pish DC art. Like Green Lantern for the longest time. See, after Goff Johns again, famous Goff Johns man, after he left Green Lantern, there was just a string, a years long string. I don't know why I bought it all, other than to bear witness to how pish it was. But they had terrible. It was like this kind of sketchy, generic lantern art, we called it, and God help me, sometimes I loved it because I can get into genericism, I really can. But when it's bad, it's bad. But Ivan Reis is kind of the opposite of that. It's kind of block. It's not block. I can't really pin down what it is, or I can't say it's like Silver Age or it's leaning on. It kind of reminds me of Bronze Agey kind of stuff, but like a Bronze Age that's not pandering to anything, if you know what I mean. If you saw it, I feel like you would get it. You'd understand why it's so. It's nicely detailed, but not overly It's because I don't like when comic art's too detailed or too painterly. It feels too static in my mind. It doesn't feel like it flows like a comic really should. But yeah, if you get the chance and if you are predisposed to that sort of thing, I would definitely recommend the Aquaman run from the start of the New 52. Aquaman #1 until I don't know when Goff stepped off. I feel like it was a sizable amount. Was it 2-3 years or something? He did an arc that was, I think, being adapted into the film, where it was those trench dwelling Cthulhu looking dudes, and there was some stuff about. Once Aquaman gets into politics, it kind of loses me. When it gets into the politics of Atlantis, it very much loses me, because I can do good fantasy politics, but it has to really be done quite well. Like, it has to be something that really hooks me, and something that's really executed well. And I feel like a lot of the time, the under the water Atlantis politics isn't done well. Like I say, after Goff Johns left that book, Aquaman was actually quite readable. There was a lot of wishy-washy. There you go. Because the sea washes up. I'm not mansplaining the jokes to you, but yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, there was at least some stuff I liked about Aquaman after Goff Johns left. That said, looking back on it, Aquaman was kind of one of those standard Goff Johns characters that is a white man on a hell of a mission. You see that a lot in his work, at least back then you did. It was a kind of standard template of a guy who had a thing to do, and he was going to do the thing, and then he did the thing. That's probably very descriptive of everything that's ever happened, but like I say, if you read a lot of his work together like I did at the time, I was getting a lot of the New 52 when it came out. I had a lot of disposable income at the time, and it was a big thing. I got myself all hyped up. I was like, "Yas, reboot, it's happening." I'm big into reboots of the DC universe in particular. Like, not everything, but I quite like the universal in-universe explanations for all the reboots. You should read Multiversity, by the way. Multiversity is another fantastic comic by the legendary Grant Morrison, wherever he is on all the crack. I don't know if he does crack. He probably does crack. He's one of those magic wizard men engaged in that battle with the dread wizard Alan Moore. They're both wizards, by the way, but they're rival wizards. You'd think that with them being wizards, that they would be pals, but they're like they're like two different types or two different clans of wizards that viciously hate each other. It kind of feels like Morrison wanted his senpai Alan to notice him, and then senpai Alan didn't, or did and hated everything he did, and then they hated each other forever. Or maybe they love each other and they're just perpetuating this myth that the bearded one hates the bald one. I like it though. I just don't truck with anything Alan Moore does. I'm very much pro Morrison, even though he's a drug fiend. Like I still enjoy his work because he's one of these people. The key things to get right if you want me to like your work, especially in superhero stuff, is you have to get Superman. You have to be a lad that writes comics and is pro Superman and what he does. And Grant Morrison is super pro Superman. I mean, yes, you could say that because you've read, or you will read, or you will go on to read All Star Superman, and that's just like 12 issues or so of him being like, Superman is a top lad, here's why. But it crops up in everything else he does. It's a key kind of thing in his writing that superheroes are top lads. And even though he gets into sketchier stuff with some heroes, it shines through. Multiversity is one of those books. Bloody love Multiversity. Can't remember why I brought it up in the first place, but I'll just go on to talk about it. Multiversity has a lot of well, there's one issue that's the guidebook to the DC universe, and that explains all of the reboots in universe and why they happened, and it appeals to my what's the word? What is it appeals to my like boxing off compartmentalization. That's the word. It appeals to my compartmentalization of everything because I feel like that's a thing that comic nerds are well into, and he gets that, and the DC universe weirdly gets that. Like it could reboot as many times as it wants, as long as it does it in universe for my liking. As long as there's some sort of monitor pish on the go, or as long as there's some sort of I suppose it's mostly monitors, but if you get the flashes involved in there, and then say it's because the Flash ran, or if it's because Superman punched the source wall, or something like that, I'll mostly be pro it. I was mostly pro the New 52. It did a lot of things wrong. There was a lot of good stuff. I was pro New 52 Superman for a long time. There was a lot of bad stuff. I liked Morrison's action comics. I know it's not for everyone, and I know it's not necessarily what they should have done at the time. They needed like a grounded, ironically enough for Superman, Superman book that did Superman-y stuff, and not necessarily the fifth dimensional stuff that Morrison put in there. It's a good story, and there's some great, really great Superman moments, and there's this fantastic issue where he goes to Mars and it has a great opening with people on Mars being attacked by these JCB diggers for some reason, and they're all like, "Oh no, it's hopeless. Like no one can save us," and they're putting out a distress call, but it's like no one will ever hear us, and then it cuts to Earth, and Superman hears them, and you think that's a basic thing, but you just don't see it done enough, and you just don't see it done enough that well, and I'm tearing up just thinking about it, and the comic itself doesn't end well, but Superman in that issue literally says, "Do the impossible," it was it was so good, it was so good. But yes, Aquaman, I think is how we started this off-topic discussion. I mean, I guess it's somewhat on topic. I have a toy of him. I've posted pictures of the toy of him. I don't have to justify everything. I can just talk pish. But, yes. Aquaman's a cool guy. Comics are good. I wish I could read more. I have a Superman. I got Superman #2, I believe it is. Brian Michael Bendis is on Superman. I think I covered this in a couple casts ago, but he is doing some Superman work, and I'm trepidatious. Trepidatious. Words aren't my forte. I'm concerned. I was a bit I was very skeptical when it was announced. I was like excited, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, I mean, I have incredible Stockholm syndrome for Bendis. Like, I read all of his Avengers stuff far longer than I ever should. I got it in trade format. I've got like trades of Secret Invasion spin-offs because he wrote them. You know, like I was that kid. You know, I had the love for Bendis, and he was my guy. He was the name I recognized, and I liked what he did at the time. I probably wouldn't like it that much if I read it now, but you know, I liked it. And he did Ultimate Spider-Man. You know, like that's a fantastic historic run of comics. It doesn't go so well in certain places. There's some character decisions that are really questionable, and maybe it went on longer than it should. But you know, it was a good run of comics. But he did write a lot of guff, and he wrote a lot of guff. You know, like he has a very verbose writing style, and if you don't like that, then I can see why you hate his work. But yeah, after many decades, I guess Bendis moved to Action or moved to DC, and he got put on Action 1000, which I get it. I get the market in there. I get what you're doing. I get that you want that book to sell and sell it well and sell it dead, but it was the pants. It was the Superman pants, and the headline was like, "Bendis is bringing Superman back." Bendis has jumped ship to DC, and he's used his clout or he's put it in his contract or whatever to bring the pants back to Superman, and that means it's our Superman and it's the people's Superman. None of this New 52 Superman guff. You know, it is heroic Superman. Normally I'd be all over that, but you know, Superman had been back for like a year or two or something at that point. Because like New 52 Superman just died, and then or I guess post Crisis Superman, the Superman from the 2000s, and I guess yeah, the Superman from the 2000s, let's say, rocked up to New 52 Earth because of you know that's how comics work. So the older alternate universe, our Superman came back, and he was just being heroic top lad Superman. He didn't have the pants, but apart from that, he was everything you'd want, and like that run was really good. I was really digging that before the comic shop shut because it was very much the tone. You know, it was what Bendis is doing in quotation marks now, but you know, a year or two ago, and I really liked the characterization. I really liked that Superman. It had Lois and everything, but he also had his son. Was it Jonathan? Yeah, Jonathan Kent, and like, I'm not a big fan of the kids stuff necessarily. I feel like it's been taken a wee bit farther now, but I guess it's popular, and I guess it's a different type of story that they're telling. So good for them there, but not necessarily for me. But like, I liked that he had a family, and he was like an older Superman or whatever, like I guess middle aged, but like what age even it doesn't even matter. But you know, they were telling a different kind of story, and you could tell that the artist wanted to draw the pants on him. Like there was images in those comics where like it clearly looked like they'd drawn the pants on him, and then they were like, no, he doesn't have pants, and someone else had come in and shadowed them out, or like you know photoshopped them away because he couldn't have the pants. You know, someone was telling me it was the one of the creators' estates gets a cut every time the pants are shown, and that's such a dumb thing that I kind of believe it without looking it up. Like that's such a legal minutia, but about pants that I kind of at least want to believe it. You know, I at least want that to be true. But I just didn't. I felt it felt kind of wrong when because that was the headline. You know, Bendis is over and he's bringing back Superman, but you know he's been back. He's been back for a year or so or whatever. So it felt like they were just kind of crapping over those creators that had done such a good job, you know, for years. Even before New 52 Superman died, because I liked New 52 Superman, and I liked the run before he died was it Greg Pak? Was it Greg Pak's run? His run was great. It wasn't necessarily my exact cup of tea, but there was a lot of stuff in it that was cool. There was like an issue where like monsters attacked, and then they were like, Superman, throw the monsters into the sun, and he's like, what? You think that's all I do? And like he was going to kill the monster or whatever, but then he had a wee chat with the monster, and it turned out the monster was like this wee, like the big monster turned into this wee cute baby Nightcrawler dude, and yes, it was weird. He looked like Nightcrawler, but he was a lovely wee creaturey man, and he became a fun part of the supporting cast for a while, if I could recall correctly. The art was awesome as well. The art seemed a wee bit influenced by early JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I'm totally just like, asserting that without checking with anyone, but to my eye, a lot of the Superman poses were very muscular in a way that definitely reminded me of Araki's work. Deep breaths. We've been shouting for hours. Is this the first time we've talked about comics on the show? It won't be the last. That's another one of my vices. I'm one of those omni nerds that cuts about and just, jack of all trades, master of none type, where I'm just like, Transformers, comics, third thing. I think I'll call it early tonight because it's late. It is later. I've got things to do, like potentially read that Superman that I've worked myself up into a flutter about the Man of Steel. And then we'll come back tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll do something probably different to mark the 1 week anniversary of the podcast. Maybe we'll take a break for a week. That could be a suitable thing to do. I was looking into getting callers to call into the podcast to be all like, like just phone my phone, and then I would put it on speaker and we'd have like a back and forth. But I feel like I'd have to script stuff with that. I really like Alan Partridge. You might have worked that out by now if you've been listening this whole time, these 10 hours into the content. But yeah, I'd love to do like a back and forth like that and just have Patter on the go. Don't know if I could be horrible though. Like I mentioned Brexit a lot, but I'm not a Brexit supporter, so I don't know. I could mention fully cooked breakfasts, and I've got an idea about a comic that's basically Partridge, but a superhero called Boomerman. Boomerman like eats like a fully cooked breakfast and to gain his powers. Like a Shazam kind of parody. I was going to talk about the Aquaman film, but I think I'll leave that for tomorrow. Thanks for listening. I should leave off with the fact that I am going to force us to do a Doctor Who podcast after every Doctor Who episode that comes out. I still haven't looked up when that's going to be. I believe it's the 7th. That could be like a Wednesday, but I'd have to look at a calendar to work that out. But yes, we're going to do a podcast after every episode. Even I know how the logistics of that probably don't work out, but it's something that I would like to do. I'd at least like to gather, people together after an episode to talk about it, because I want to get back into Doctor Who properly, because like I was saying yesterday, or the day before that, I've very much gotten out of it. I had to catch up via the iPlayer and via the Netflix and DVDs on the latter half of Capaldi. And that felt bad, because there was a time there where I was sitting down with my VHS recordings of each episode that I would make during the episode, watching them immediately after. And yes, I was, 14? Maybe that's not that young to be doing that. Maybe that's not that endearing, but it felt like it in my heart. So I want to get back to that. Hopefully I'll try and be the non-cynical one. I imagine David, if you're listening, you'll probably be pretty cynical. But I will probably be loving every single thing that Bradley Walsh does and says. Most of those podcasts will, if they ever happen, be me just saying, Bradley Walsh, though. The fact that they cast him is the first thing, and then the fact that he acted in those episodes, if we ever get to them. Anyway, thank you for listening. Like, comment, and subscribe. It's one of those. We've got a Patreon, but it's not up and running. So if you want to put money into that, be my guest. It won't go anywhere. Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye. Oh wait, I shouldn't say bye until I work out how to turn this off. Bye. Bye. The button just will not turn off. It doesn't want to end. The screen's cracked, you see, so I'm going to have to... No, it's not one to end. What if I rotate it this way?